Alright, hi. Welcome back to a brand new video of the Targeted Individual Program, Targeted Experience, Target Individual Program in New York Predator Department using the sirens. So like I said, I called Pam. She said she was going out. I asked her if the chairman's up. She said Ethan is up. I have been calling Ethan. He's not answering his phone. I'll call my daughter's phone. Her phone is off the hook. Alright, not off the hook, off. It just goes straight into the voicemail. Then I walk into the kitchen. Right now, before I walk into the kitchen, my sister all of a sudden started talking about grenade. Call the kids back again. Now she's walking back and forth in the hallway, and then on top of that, as I go into the kitchen, the New York Predator Department, start using their sirens. Come out my bedroom, she's standing in the hallway, right? And she sees me, she turns around and looks at her grandson. When I talk about the cult mindset and the destructive behavior of cult, particularly of family members who are very religious, and what they are doing is these religious fanatics who are in positions of authority, they have engaged in coercive persuasion programming for coercive control, particularly for those, again, with TIs who are microchipped and trying to get away with it. 1 second, let me. All right, so I text Pam and I said to her, hey, I've been calling the kids. Because I actually called her, she didn't answer her phone. All right, I text her. No, she had just told me Ethan was up about an hour ago. He was on his computer. My daughter was still sleeping. It is 2:35. Okay. Yesterday, I had asked my daughter because she didn't go to school yesterday. Her and her brother, they were both home yesterday. Again, another day. There's not been 1 week of school that from last semester to this new semester that they have been to school 5 days out of the week. Without there not being, if there's a holiday or what have you. But there's not been one single week where they have been to school 5 days of the week. The most they've been to school is 3 days. Okay, and that's every single week. And that's ridiculous, right? But I can't say nothing now, right? And then in your Predator Department, like I said, there are emboldened women, particularly European women, to engage in this behavior and using cursive threats and cursive manipulation. They have been conditioned. They have been trained in exactly how to behave this way. Why? Because, again, money, right? Promotions, and so forth. They have successfully engaged in creating spies within our community to root out leaders, right? Non-believers in their religion, particularly the Kemetic spiritual system. Those of us who went back to our ancestors' Kemetic spiritual system, right? Not based off of belief. Some of it's based off of belief, right? The myth of it, but it is rooted in the science, in its esoteric state, esoteric knowledge. It is rooted in the sciences, philosophy, math, chemistry, right? Architecture, technology, right? Engineering, that sort of thing. But as a technology, just call them. Because, they'll let me know exactly what's going on or what it is that they're doing, using technology to manipulate us. But anyway, and then also, hacking into our phones, hacking into our network provider networks to prevent calls from going through, and so forth and so forth. This is what they do. If you go and you read the Snowden document, you'll see that technology is a big part of their control mechanism, right? And what it is that they do, how they manipulate us, how they control us. All right, so anyhow, so I called her again. She didn't answer. I texted her. I said, hey, I'm calling the kids. They're not answering their phone, and so forth and so forth. She didn't text me back or anything like that until I started doing this video, right? Which is about, what, maybe 20, 25 minutes afterwards. Okay? So, yeah. They know what they're doing. And on top of that, it is 2:38. Okay? The kids are sleeping. It's funny. It's always interesting how whenever she goes out, this is the stuff that they do, right? They're using their Predator Department to engage in heavy targeting. Right? Then, she'll come home early, either the day before, or not go to work. Right? The kids are home, right? While she's laying in bed sleeping all day. Right? Conserving her energy. And then, get up this morning. She's up early because she has to go out. But she doesn't get up early to take the kids to school, to make sure that they're ready in the morning to take them to school. That's where her priority is at. And like I said, listen, this is your life, woman. You do what you want to do. But when it affects our children in the way that it affects your children, I'm going to say something, and I always have. All right. And as I said, that near Predators Department using their sirens again outside. But again, to show you that and I wish to the universe that someone is doing the same thing to their children, to their significant other, destroying the lives of their children, destroying the lives of their families, and so forth. I do, because you're not going to do to me and this and think that that I'm going to wish it doesn't happen to you too. No, because if it was the other way around, you wouldn't, you would do the same thing too. You would feel the same way too. But anyhow, just like I said, man, it's ridiculous. It is really, really ridiculous. But that's what they promote, right? The degradation of our children's mind. The white supremacists who have used religion and who have infiltrated the black community, particularly in the black churches, and the minds of our people are totally enslaved by the use of technology, and they don't even understand, don't even realize it. Right? We're at a war that they can't see, they don't want to recognize, they can't recognize. And those of us who can, we're trying to tell them and warn them, they're not listening. So, like I said, some of us are waking up though. Slowly but surely, but some of us are waking up. We'll continue to do our mission. We continue to be on our purpose of exposing this system and what it does to us. We're exposing the non-consensual human experimentation and exposing the illegal microchipping by those within the U.S. government, security, military, and predator law enforcement agencies. All right, talk to you guys in the next video.